Hello YouTube! For today's video, I'm actually going to explain all of Ayato's skills, passives, and constellations and how you want to play them. Since I'm not wishing on Ayato myself, I'm not really the best candidate to actually give you a whole entire guide on them, on the best weapons, artifacts, and whatnot. But I can tell you how to play him, how to utilize his skills and burst, all of his passives, and tell you what his constellations do. So without further ado, let's talk about his talents and passives first. First we have his normal attacks, and honestly, there's not really much to talk about here. Because the way Ayato works and plays, you honestly don't even have to level up his normal attacks at all. So he's kind of like rated, but you can actually level up the burst and the skill and leave the normal attacks alone for the most part. And then we have his elemental skill, which is a huge part of his kit. Basically, after using his skill, he'll actually leave an illusion at his original location. The illusion will explode if enemies are nearby, and it will actually turn his normal attacks into AoE hydro damage. The good thing about this is that it can't be overwritten, so if you have C6 Bennett, he'll actually work the same way. Now his elemental skill actually grants Nami Sin stacks. Each stack he has will actually increase the damage dealt of the normal attacks while he's in his illusion state. These stacks will give him more damage based on his max HP, and there can be up to 4 stacks. And while in this effect, you'll actually get increased resistance, and you're actually unable to use charged or plunging attacks, so you can only normal attack. But while you're in this state, you can actually hold down the normal attack button like a charge attack, it'll actually keep repeatedly doing normal attacks, so it's actually really nice. If you look at the attributes, the elemental skill actually has its own 3-hit combo for 90, 100, and 111. And each Nami-Sin stack will actually get 0.69% of the max HP for extra damage. The cool thing about his passive is right after using his elemental skill, you'll actually gain 2 Nami-Sin stacks immediately. So it's a really easy way to get that extra damage really fast, and when the illusion explodes, you'll actually get the maximum number of stacks you can. Because that number can be increased with Constellation. So that's a really easy way to get all your stacks really fast, really nicely. So with this passive, if you use it near any other opponent, you practically get the max stacks as soon as you use the skill. So honestly, getting stacks is so easy as Ayato. Now his elemental burst is actually just a circle field that will rain down AoE hydro damage on opponents. And each strike is actually an AoE, so if it hits one opponent, that'll splash through the other 2, and then it can hit the next opponent, which will also splash through the other 2, so it's very nice. Also, while they're inside the field, all party members' normal attack damage will be increased. So we have the Bloom Water Blade damage, which is actually the scaling of the rain that drops on enemies, and it actually has a scaling of 106% at level 8, so that can hit a lot of times, I think upwards of 20 plus, I think, I really don't remember. And then you actually get that normal attack damage bonus, which actually scales up as you level up the skill as well. It lasts 18 seconds with a cooldown of 20 seconds, so there's only a 2-second downtime if you can get that 80 energy cost every time. So that's a pretty hefty energy cost. But with his second passive, if he's off the field and has below 50% energy, he'll actually regenerate 2 energy per second until he hits 50%. So that actually saves you from having to put too much energy recharge on him, but it still will take a little bit to get the rest. And there you go, those are his talents and passives. Next, let's go over his constellations, because there's some constellations that are actually pretty nice, and I actually want to talk about them. His first constellation is where his elemental skill normal attacks, aka his hydro infused normal attacks, will actually do 40% more damage with opponents with 50% or less HP. So the lower they are, the more damage you do. Just a pretty nice constellation, a pretty good damage buff overall. His C2 will actually increase the number of Nami-Sin stacks to 5, and when Ayato has at least 3 of them, his max HP will be increased by 50%. Which, if you remember, that will actually grant more damage for your slashes because each Nami-Sin stacks gives more damage based off its max HP. So this pretty much just adds more scaling to the Nami-Sin stack bonus. Constellation 3 increases the scaling of his skill. C4 is after using Ayato's burst, all party members will get 15% more normal attack speed for 15 seconds. So that increases the attack speed of all your characters, including Ayato. So Ayato too will actually get 50% more attack speed after using his burst, which is very nice. Which means you could also run it with another normal attacking unit if you wanted to, like your Emiya, because that increased normal attack speed just means more damage per second. Constellation 5 increases the scaling of the burst. And Constellation 6 is really good. After using his elemental skill, each slash that he does in the state will actually do 2 more extra slashes. Both of the extra ones will actually do 450% of Ayato's attack as more damage. So this is where you're going to see a lot more damage numbers on people's C6 Ayato. I see a whole lot more damage than the C0 Ayato because there's just a lot more slashes happening on screen, a lot more damage being done. And there you go, those are his talents and constellations, and now I'm actually going to go over how you'd want to play him. So with the way he is, you actually want to use his burst and then his elemental skill after, so you can get that increased normal attack damage. So I'm going to use his burst, and now I'm going to use the skill right after. Now I get increased normal attack damage, I can just hold down the normal attack button, and just repeatedly do slashes. And I can switch to other characters while my burst is in downtime, my skill's in downtime. And of course I already have my burst because this is the trial and they give him increased energy recharge because of it. But usually you wouldn't get your burst this fast. Especially because in the trial they only give you 135% energy recharge. And in game you're not going to be able to get your burst off cooldown that fast unless you're in the trial. Of course they gave him his signature weapon as well, so just keep that in mind while I'm doing all these tests. And also he has 4 pieces of the new artifact set. So I actually want to just show off the burst regeneration, so I'm going to use the burst all the way over here and then switch off of him. And then when I do some random stuff on my Zhangling and Kaya for example, he should be back at a good amount of energy when I get back to him. So now I'm going to switch over to Ayato, and as you can see he already had a good amount of energy right when I swapped the bag. Now of course if I stay off of him longer he'll actually get more energy from it, but since I only stayed on him for a little bit he did get back his full 50%. And now I'm going to show off the Namusen stack, so I'm going to use his skill, and thanks to his passive he already gets 2 right when he uses it. And now with each slash, I get 3 stacks, and then 4 stacks. That 4 stacks is when the bloom fully grows. So keep that in mind while you're doing this damage, although it's really easy to get, like basically you can get 4 as soon as you use the skill. So it's not really that much of a big deal. He's actually pretty cool and pretty fun. Bop, 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 bop. But I could definitely see him being more fun with Constellations because of the extra slashes that you do, the more damage that you can deal, and all that. So when using Ayato, try to make sure you always use the burst and then the skill so you do get that extra normal attack damage bonuses. And since he's a normal attack type character, that means he's gonna run well with Jin and other characters that can buff normal attack damages. That also means the Heart of Death artifact set is also on the table because after he uses elemental skill, all his damage is gonna be normal attack damage, which is really good for him. And for talent priority, once again, you could probably only do the skill and burst and not have to worry about much else because you're not really going to be normal attacking all too much with Ayato. Because you're not going to be his normal attack string that much. You're only going to be using his normal attack skill damage. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. That's how you play Ayato, all his skills, constellations. I hope I answered any questions you may have with his combat style. He really fits into maybe the sub DPS category. He does fit into the main DPS category as well. But his burst does take a lot of energy, even with the extra energy he gets from being off field. So I could definitely see him being both a main DPS and a sub DPS depending on your playstyle. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and if you're enjoying this content. And I'll see you guys in the next video.